What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll Live. We're back with an awesome group and topic this week again. So we're still kind of recovering everything from the travel and going through from the Abilities Expo. So we're actually going to just tell some travel stories. We're going to hear a little bit of Tom stuff and some other fun stories we all have. So let's get some intros in real quick. I'm Shawn, like I said, C5, C6 quad from a snowboarding accident 18 years ago. Tom, take it away.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tom Conaway, C5, C6 quadriplegic, going on 25 years in a month or so. And yeah, living out here in SoCal, but traveling across the U.S. very soon again. But yeah, that's what we're talking today. Bobby, you want to take it away?
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks a lot. Glad to be back.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Bobby Rohan, C5, C6 quad, 33 plus years, and just sitting here trying to enjoy life. But let's move it over to our special guest, and glad to have you back, Bentley.
It's always a pleasure to be here, guys. I'm Bentley Blaze. I'm an L2 partial L3 incomplete paraplegic, and I suffered a gunshot wound in 2013. So the better part of a decade. I'm coming up on 9 years.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you almost got
Bentley
your
is
decade.
awesome. One of our favorite guests. We had a really awesome show the last time we had her on, and we're super excited to talk some fun stories. And also, we're going to be meeting up in Houston.
And
Bentley's
Bentley's
going to be
actually going to
coming
be
out
hanging
to
out,
the
helping us out
Abilities
at the Live
Expo.
to Roll booth. She's going to be.
So please, yeah, take note and make sure if you're in the area, come on out because it's going to be a wild time. And yeah, we're going to be making some magic happen one way or another. Trying to get out there. I think it's gonna be my first plane trip, and I'm gonna be doing it with Shawn. So we're
That's a.
gonna be figuring stuff out along the way. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting.
Oh,
What's up,
yeah.
Mama? Got Mama in the chat. Mama Conaway. um, and yeah, we're talking travel today. I'm just coming off some travel, and we've heard a little bit about my Amtrak stuff, so I'll talk a little bit more about it, some other stuff. But Shawn, do you um, maybe want to get us started, or should we get started with Bentley? What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Let's start with a funner story, I think, and then we'll get into talking some trash on Amtrak in a little bit. And
How long you been paralyzed, Bentley?
Almost 9 years.
Okay. And
yeah,
how's your travel experience been in general? Like, have you done traveling as a para? Like, how has it gone just in general? And like, how do you usually travel if you do?
Well, I personally prefer to drive. I have a vehicle, so I will drive wherever. And I actually travel by myself the vast majority of the time, which is crazy. And that's I recently my most recent trip it went kind of crazy, but I have flown and I've also gone on cruises. It's I've traveled a lot.
see, that's
And
one thing
how's
I
your
haven't done is the
experience?
cruise. I really want to do a cruise.
Oh, Live to Roll Cruise, dude. Oh my God. Live
That
to
would
Roll
be fun.
Cruise 2023. Let's go. We're gonna get it sponsored by Princess Cruises too.
I'm down for
Let's tweet this at him right now. Let's go.
I
Well,
do
we
have,
got to go
I
on
do have,
Jam Cruise. If we go on any
Jam.
cruise, we
Okay.
got it. Yes. I went
All right.
twice and it was legit. And they were so amazing and
Okay.
accommodating. And they even found me excursions to participate in Jamaica and Cozumel. So
Really?
it
Let's
was an
go.
epic.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
I'm
cool.
about
Man.
it.
And the like, it was
Jams Cruise.
pretty
That sounds awesome.
accessible on the cruise, like rooms,
Oh,
bathrooms,
the
all
the whole ship was
everything.
great. Like
Sweet.
everything was amazing, and like I was, that was one of the first things I did traveling was go on that cruise. Like I flew whenever I came home from rehabilitation, and I went on a road trip with a couple of friends. But that was really the first trip I had gone on. So they took such great care of me that I thought that that's how it would be in the future, which clearly isn't how it is in most places. So it was spectacular. And it's a giant concert on a boat, too. There's music like 20 hours of the day.
Yeah.
Like, from like
Okay.
8 o'clock in the morning till like 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's like a giant reggae fest. Everyone's smoking and all of the
Oh
fun
my
things.
God. Yeah, how
Yeah,
have I not gone on this cruise
Yeah,
before? It looks like mom and dad have to come too. My parents
it's
are like big
legit.
like reggae heads, like they go
yeah,
to
yeah.
reggae festivals like
They
all
would
year long.
absolutely
So,
die. Like it was so
oh
great.
my
And
God, yeah.
oh,
I think my mom's probably Googling it right now as we speak.
Jam Cruise. And once you've gone
Like,
5 times, you get your repeat offender robe. So I need to go 3 more
okay,
times.
all right. I need to start. Let's go. That sounds
Yeah,
Let's
fun.
do it.
that does sound pretty fun.
um Yeah, from what I've heard, in general, cruise experience is pretty accessible. The excursions are usually where you run into a lot of the accessibility issues. Is generally a lot of the vehicles or just the outings are not curated for individuals with chairs. But it seems like on at least this one cruise line, um, you know, took some accountability to, look into that for you, which is amazing. Like I love when companies do that. How about flying? How has that gone with like your chair and stuff? Has it been
Have
any
you flown?
issues?
I haven't. I've flown like quite a bit actually, and I've really only had one mishap with my chair, and it's kind of funny. So, like, you know how you have the rubber grips on your handles, like
Yeah.
some have um the airline lost one of them, and so
Oh,
I
that's
know you
pretty.
can't. Yeah, I know you can't. Like, you can kind of see it's just metal there. So I just ripped the other one off. I was like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to like do about this, but
Yeah, I
other than
mean,
that, everyone's been cool.
theoretically, you could have reported it. What they always say to do is take a picture of your wheelchair, or not just one picture, but a bunch of pictures of your wheelchair before they put it on the airplane, and then after to just note any damage that was done in between while you didn't have it. Because then you could at the very least hold them accountable to, you know, fix whatever was broken on it. Because you have the evidence. But
I
I mean,
was
little
traveling for
things like
school,
that.
so I was
So
like,
that's what
whatever.
when they broke my wheels, I reported that for sure and got some new wheels. But
Yeah.
I've lost a cup holder, I've lost a side guard, actually two side guards. That was two different times. So now that's another note. Always take my cushion and side guards off into the plane. So,
Always.
but yeah, those are a couple of things I've lost on just little, just because they'll
Yeah.
knock off and just they don't notice, and I don't notice until like, well, the side guards easily notice, but like the cup holder, I didn't notice for like 2 days. I was like, oh, the cup holder's gone. Shit.
Yeah.
You use it that much, huh, Shawn?
Yeah, no, I obviously I don't use it.
That's how it goes with my chair, like all the time. Like stuff will go missing, and I'll be like, "Oh, how long has that been gone?" Like, "Oh, uh-oh." But it is what it is. And I'm with you. Like little things, it's like that's like wear and tear. Like it's gonna happen. But for big stuff, because sometimes people do like end up with an unusable wheelchair after a flight, and the airlines
Yeah.
definitely should be held accountable
Well, and
for transporting it
TSA is
safely.
probably the worst part of flying. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
about you guys
Yes, yes.
particularly, but being a woman and having to be felt up and things like that of that
Um,
nature every single time. And they assaulted me essentially last time I flew. I had to make a report about it. And a
Oh
lot
my
of it
God.
was like a miscommunication. The poor young lady, English was obviously not her first language, and I hold the woman training her responsible because she stuck her hands in my pants, like up in my clothes. I was like, nah, this isn't how it goes. Like,
no, yeah,
it
they.
was,
Yeah.
and she
Hmm.
full on groped me. I was like, you bitches owe me dinner. Like, so mad. Like, ugh.
I'm sorry you
That's
had that
that's worse.
experience. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that's the thing with TSA. Sometimes you'll get like a good one that just kind of gives you the
Shoes
quick
you
little here you
along.
go, like move
I have
along.
never had that. I've always been
Really?
like, yeah, and I
I've
don't.
gotten
That's
a
what I'm
few.
saying. Maybe it's a girl like thing. I don't
No,
know,
I mean,
but
I also feel like it's like way overdone. Like lean forward, lean to the left. It is just, and I
Oh
know they got to
can
do
you
their
stand
job, but
up?
yeah, they ask me all
I
the time.
watch, and I know a scanner. People can go through a scanner in 2 seconds, and I'm sitting off. My wife is waiting for me, and it's just like, all right, what other part? And then they have to do the whole, swipe the shoes, swipe your hand, swipe your chair, and it's like, you guys, this is like 15 minutes here, and there's a couple guys that, or a couple people out there that have been quick, but then there's some like
that are way
I
too
think it was, I had a bad streak once, and I had every trainee, and it was just like, oh my gosh, come on, like and you got to be careful what you say, and yeah, it can be the biggest pain, and sometimes even waiting because all of a sudden they're like, okay, hold on, wait till we find somebody for you, and then you're like,
Yeah.
let's go. You're like, I have a plane to catch, and then they'll look at me and go, well, you should be here 2 hours before, and it's just like,
Hey,
oh my
all I'm
god.
saying is if you put your hands all over my body and I start to flirt with you, like you can't hold me accountable. Like you started it. Like that's just how it goes.
So I have a question for you, Bentley. Do you do a private room though, or do you do it out in the open?
I've done both. So, I don't know why I always test positive for explosives.
So
Like when I go out
I've
of town,
I've
like
tested
What?
for that
never,
too.
always, especially when I go to Las Vegas, like just being on, which I've been told is like pretty common,
Pretty
but
common, yeah.
yeah, that happens quite often to me. And so I've had the private room, and I have said inappropriate things that almost got me not able to fly. Like, so the chicks patting me down and stuff. And luckily it was in Amarillo and they were pretty good sports about it. But they took me back after testing positive, and I was like, I told y'all it's just this bomb ass pussy. And like, you're not supposed to say bomb in the airport,
Oh
Bomb on
my
the plane.
Oh
god.
my god.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah.
they were,
Yeah.
they were pretty cool about it, fortunately, but I don't think that would have like slid anywhere else. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
if you would have
mean,
got the one dude that's like really trying to like be some like he wanted to be that cop like
well, it was two chicks because I
yeah.
have to have females
or she
like pat
okay
me
oh yeah
down and
that's right
Yeah,
private
everything.
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not with
So
females yeah
the
Yeah.
one like
hopefully
laughed like out loud, and the other like kind of, I was like, y'all know that was funny. Stop. And I will never try that again. I was like, that was my one chance. I took it. Like, I will never ever say that shit again.
Yeah.
uh,
When we were on our way out to Chicago, I like joked about the train derailing. I'm like, how crazy would it be if the train derailed? And then on our way back, that train actually derailed and a couple people died. And I'm like, okay, Tom, like, you got to stop. Like, don't
You
bring
put
that
juju
shit
out
into
there.
the air
yeah
anymore because, like, you're just going to invite stuff that, like, could happen. I don't know. It
that
freaks
is
me
really
out.
such a crazy coincidence that happened like so
Yeah.
crazy literally the
Yeah.
same train you were on like a few days later like that's crazy
Yeah,
but
it was a little nuts. It's
That's
like
scary.
wild. Yeah, I mean, it's just not that common of occurrence too. It's just kind of wild that it happens so close. And then, thoughts and prayers out to everybody in Illinois
yeah
involved
everybody
in that
involved in it
shooting yesterday. It's just so absolutely terrible. I don't know how we're gonna get out of this mess. Hope we can figure it out somehow though, because it's almost too much to bear sometimes hearing about all this tragedy all the time.
yeah
But
well some
sorry, I just
positive
wanted
note Luis in the chat says it's because you are the bomb Brent Bentley
to. Yeah, yeah. And
Thank
let's
you,
say what
Luis.
up to some of our fam in the chat. Yo, what up, Andrew? What up, Celtic Bear? Yo, what up, Sue Rob? Hi, Jeanette. Thanks for watching. Hi, Terry, Steve, Louise. Appreciate you guys joining. Everybody in the chat, everybody watching. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. You
Click on
guys
that button.
always make us feel a lot better. Um,
And
and yeah,
also, Luis mentioned earlier in the chat that he's actually from Argentina and owns a hostel. He's a C5, C6 quad, and
oh man, let's go out
in
to
Buenos Aires.
Hey,
Argentina.
He's a
I have
quad
a
from
Let's go
Buenos
out.
Aires.
passport.
Yeah, let's go out to Argentina,
Yeah.
Luis. We'll talk, man. Yeah.
Louise,
I'm about
only
it.
if he hooks us up with some badass wines. That's all. I'm dying to go to Argentina just to go down, the wine country. Oh,
That
Yeah,
would
I've
be cool,
heard.
man. I haven't done much out of country travel, and I'd really, really love to start doing some of
Yeah,
it.
I've heard that people in Argentina are like some of the most beautiful people in the world, some of the most beautiful places in the world. Definitely want to go check that out. Um, And I wanted to mention Andrew is talking about roads and cars is like a form of travel. A lot of us rely on even more so disabilities because train and planes are not as easy to take all generally, and can be really expensive too. Um, yeah, road safety is tough. Like, I don't know. I run into that all the time with my wheelchair here in LA, believe it or not. In San Fernando Valley, there's like within mile, like just a mile of me, there's several blocks that like have impassable like sidewalks, meaning like there's no curb cutouts to get down, or like there's just it's just like there's roots and like the pavement stones are lifted so high up that like you
Girl.
cannot pass it. Like it's crazy. And I don't know, like I run into that just within my neighborhood, like where I roll all the time. So it's definitely I guess something that is out here too. But I feel you on the inaccessible roads. And out in Europe, I can only imagine they probably have some roads that have been there for a
It's,
long,
I know
long
they use a lot
time.
more cobble and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah,
like for a wheelchair, tile, cobble,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's so rough.
yeah. In
But
I'm
Sonoma,
going to Africa in a
oh,
couple of months, so
really?
oh, crazy.
I'm a little nervous about that. And we're going to a bunch of rural villages to plant community gardens and stuff. And I'm going with the college for an abroad program, so that'll be the longest flight that I've ever been on. I know that it's going to be like 19 hours or something like that. So I'll keep you guys posted on
No,
how
yeah,
that
we're
Yeah,
gonna
goes.
definitely have to have you on to hear about that after you get back.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely document as much as you can. Bring it back so
Oh,
we can.
I'm going with a bunch of communication students. Like, we're going for the plant and soil science majors and communication. So they're going to be documenting the whole thing
Awesome.
and making
Right.
a video. So I'll make sure to get lots of footage. I want to know how this is for everybody in the future, any other disabled travelers. I do things a little unconventional, and I'm like, I'll figure it out when I get there. So the school's been really accommodating. I'm really more or less just worried about the rural things. Like, I know we'll go on safaris. I get to go to see some little penguin rescue and all kinds of cool things. So I'm more anxious about the excursions and things like that. But I really am just going to see what happens, especially as far as accessibility goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm
I don't
sure.
think there. I
Go
don't
ahead,
think there's
Bobby.
a way to really prepare for it unless you find a couple people that have been to that exact area to do, But I think
I
really,
doubt how many have.
once you get there, I think
There, there is
you're
some
just
information out
into it.
there on traveling to Africa. I've actually been doing a little bit of research on like just disability services and accessibility in like certain parts of Africa and like major the the major metropolitan areas in Africa just to see if they're comparable to anything out here. I'm really curious on how disabled people live out there. Like I know one guy who um, used to come to our support group here in Northridge. He would travel to Africa and go and do all kinds of like humanitarian stuff out there. But he would like send a few months of supplies ahead of time out there, supplies he would get here, and then send them ahead to where he was going because he couldn't get them where he was going and stuff. But I'm just really curious how individuals live uh,
That's brilliant.
in
Truly,
different
like,
countries.
it's a useful piece of
But
information.
yeah, no, we did some of that in Chi-Town, just like with some of the live to roll stuff. It's like send it ahead, so you don't have to travel with it all. But yeah, that's amazing. Definitely want to talk to you about your experience with that because that's what we want to do in a couple of years too. Is like take a live to roll trip to Africa and go and like do some interviews and some podcasts over there.
That would be
Uh,
pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, that may be a goal. That's my goal. Maybe not so much Sean's goal, but
No,
you and Bobby are coming too. I don't care what you
travel,
say.
man. I love the travel and stuff, man. Yeah, I'm good. I'm for it. So let's do it. Bobby, have
Uh,
you've had the most experience here probably just time and stuff with traveling. Have you had any
Mhm.
mishaps, anything, any stories that
I
stand out
mean,
over the years?
nothing like, horror stories. I'm not sure if I was telling this group last week or if it was somebody else. Uh, the only horror story I had is getting to Montreal once. Landed, I was by myself waiting. I went there for All-Star tournament, and everyone got off the plane. The crew got off. The cleaning crew came in, cleaned. We'll be right there with you, waiting for someone to come. And next thing you know, the plane is empty for a good hour and a half, 2 hours.
What?
And I sat there and
What?
I'm just like, whoa. I mean, it's dark, it's night, it's approaching 11 o'clock. This is before cell phone days, too. This is like mid 90s. And I'm just sitting there, just like, I hope I don't have to sleep here. I started getting myself
Oh
like, grabbing
my
a
God.
blanket from the other.
Wow.
Yeah. And finally, somebody's like, oh my gosh, you are here. And I'm like, yeah. Thank God, my ride was like, he made it on that plane and he's got to be somewhere. And then they checked the gateway and saw that my chair was down there. And they're like, uh-oh. And they're like, they were
We
so like,
forgot
oh
Bobby
my
on the
God.
plane. Oh my
Oops.
God.
Dude, that is crazy,
Wow, this was
actually.
this was a while ago. So, and that's about. I mean, the only horror story one I had with the cruise, Princess Cruise. They were just awful. I didn't really care for them. Been on others that are
Okay,
better, but
forget
some
Princess.
of those, some of the big boats, like I don't know, Bentley, if you went on the smaller boats, but those bigger boats, they're worth a crap because to go in and out from the cabin to outside like the pool area, you got to go through like up these ramps and double doors and because everything wind blocked, so it just seemed like a pain in the ass to do if I'm doing it like 3 or 4 times going back and forth, and then people are holding like 4 doors for me trying to get up this little ramp, down this little ramp, up this little. I just didn't care for Princess at all. The room was great, but and then every time they didn't care about the trips I was signing up, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's accessible." And thank God for most part, people, they just like, "Hey, do you need any help?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's." They're like, "Here, we'll just pick you up and put you on the bus to get to your, where we were." Like, I think one time we went scuba diving, another time we went off roading with jeeps, and I think St. Martin, and people were just picking me up, so nice. So it was like, if it wasn't for a lot of people just helping me out, it would be it'd be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, man, that sounds. That was my fear with cruise stuff. Was just like I heard that it's like distances to to the elevator and back and stuff. But
Yeah.
but I'm down. I want to
I,
try it.
I don't know how the other cruise ships, like these, from what I understand, are pretty small. I went on a Norwegian cruise line, and I loved it, and they
Okay.
were so great. So I went twice. One time it was like Cozumel, and we didn't get to stop in Belize because of weather or whatever, but we went somewhere else in Mexico. And then the next year it was Cozumel and Jamaica, and they were so great. Like I got to swim with dolphins when I was in Cozumel in Mexico, and all of the staff was great about that, transferring, helping me, and like obviously that's really difficult to get into the water with the dolphins off of these cement steps and everything, and everyone was so cool about it. And then when I went to Jamaica, I wanted to go see Bob Marley's resting place, and it is very inaccessible, so they found this other excursion, and I have enough mobility, like I can ride four-wheelers, and so they're like, well, what do you think about trying this four-wheeler excursion? Like, you go through the jungle and into the ocean. I was like, well, I'd like to see what's up with that. And the company was very accommodating. And I even ended up, like, they were extra accommodating. So everybody at the end of the excursion, we end up at this cliff and everyone's jumping off to go into the ocean. And this is kind of what solidified like my adventurous spirit, because this was still very early in my injury, like the first couple of years. And um, O'Meal was his name. He put me on his back and jumped in the ocean with me and carried me up the ladder and all of the things. So I technically didn't jump, but I jumped in the ocean when I went to Jamaica to go on this little four-wheeling experience, and it was epic. Like the villagers and the employees like were spectacular.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I hope it doesn't look like I'm staring off, but we got some really awesome experiences and stories in the chat as well of
Yeah.
some of
Oh,
our
nice.
friends and family who are just posting about their travel experiences. So if you are reading the chat, please make sure to, because it's cool to read about those experiences. Yeah, so Rob, like flying to Afghanistan, that is crazy. That is probably a long flight. Um, but and Janelle was talking about the accessibility in London is better, which I've heard like they are pretty good, pretty modern. I'm still shocked at the accessibility standards here in the States. Like, especially when it comes to travel, like it's absolutely freaking insane. And from what I can tell, like Americans are the rudest culture when it comes to like servicing or interacting with individuals with disabilities. Now, I feel like we're probably just one of the rudest cultures in general. Now, it's not any of you people because y'all are awesome. I mean, Bentley, you a little sassy with the TSA agents. That's all good though. Like I'm a little sassy too, especially with, like situations like that. But um, generally, I think abroad, I don't know, like my experiences with individuals from different cultures is like most people are so accommodating and like wanting and willing to do whatever is necessary and like to go above and beyond to ensure your comfort, ensure your safety, and help you move and figure out the situation the way it needs to be navigated. um Generally, that's what I've heard. I'm sure there are some not so great experiences out there, but um don't let that intimidate you, because generally, a lot of these people are just really awesome, friendly, amazing people that want you
And
to be
to
comfortable and successful.
to be honest too, like you said, there I think most people want you to have a good time. They want to enjoy it. Like they want you to have that good experience. And if you go in with that positive attitude and a smile, it helps. Then they're more willing to
Yeah,
help and they're more comfortable. Everybody's more comfortable and friendly. Like if you go in there bad attitude, like I need this and it, like you might not get as much as you're gonna get if you go in there friendly and just like, hey guys, I'm gonna need some help with this, and like like
yeah, no,
the attitude can help.
exactly.
So on all the
Back
And it's
scales.
totally paid off.
Eastern time.
I've been on a lot of flights that have been canceled where, everybody's yelling at them. And I go around the corner. I'm like, hey, so what's the dealio? So where can we get on a flight when, and they're like, oh man, and I mean, as soon as I'm just like, whatever you can, it would be nice, blah, blah, blah. And, usually because I'm the one acting nice, then the people around me, I've always been able to like get on the next flight. And back in the day, a lot of times first class, just like, is there any first class too? And they're like, yeah, we got first class for you.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
yelling at us. So they're always accommodating. Um, one thing, and that's what I even try to do to get quicker through TSA. I really just try to put on a big, like, all right, here, I'm going to lean forward real quick, lean to the side. Like I'm trying to go faster for them,
yeah,
but
yeah,
trying to be nice about it too, that, like, and, about 70% of the time it works where they're like, oh yeah, cool. All right. Thanks, man. Okay, cool. You're gone. Bye. And
yeah.
then there's some that are slow, but I just generally find, and the one thing about travel, and you can probably contest to this, Bentley, preparation is key, and making sure you have a checklist with all the stuff you're going to need wherever you're going, and calling ahead and making them arrangements about the hotel, how tall the bed is, what the area is like for wheelchair accessibility. Doing a little bit of research definitely has always paid off for me, especially when I looked up DC and really wanted to have a real big DC experience. And I did a lot of research, and that trip was like super easy, where it was like, wow, all that preparation, I would just, now I don't even need to do it because I know what it's like, and it's so easy and accessible that it just really paid off, and how I was able to guide myself through the whole city and see DC in 3 days, which is pretty tough.
When I Celtic Bear put a comment about like people staring at him or a woman staring at him, and being a little snarky back to her maybe, which I'm with you, like sometimes I am like the exact same way. That's not necessarily snarky, it's just like hey, what want to take a picture, lady? But my favorite line is like, and I'll just say it to myself in my head, is like, damn, like I must be looking good today. Like all these people can't stop staring at me. Like I was trying to flip a little positive in my head. And I don't know, that's something you get when you travel a lot too. I don't know, it's like the chair and like the uniqueness of the situation is just enough draw to the eye that like, you know, if you look around, generally you kind of catch someone staring. But I'm a big starer back. Like I stare at people. Like I'm a people watcher, and I'm not judging. I'm just like observing. Like I'm observing, the human condition, um, and I think that's okay. Especially if they like you make eye contact with someone and they smile at you. Like if you like meet my eyes and like engage with me positively, like it's all good. Stare at me all day long if you want. Like I don't care. But if you like and make eye contact with me and then like look away like you're trying to hide, or you just like stare back kind of like some other species or something, then I might be a little like, okay, what's going on? And kids always get a free pass, because kids are just curious, and like that is genuine and pure and innocent. So I could never go after a kid for like gawking at my cool wheelchair.
I know that was
You
like
know,
one of the big things in like all the SCI groups, like in people that I've spoken to. That's their biggest thing is like, oh, people staring. And I've never been that person. And I also have always been stared at. Like, I'm very heavily tattooed and I'm not unfortunate looking. Like, and that was
Yeah.
really hard, like, for me to decipher because that's what, when I first was injured, I assumed that everyone was just staring at my wheelchair. And like, as time passed, I realized, like, oh, they think I'm fine. Like, this is weird. Like,
Yeah.
you don't see
That
yourself as an attractive person initially, at least most of us don't. And so it was really perplexing to me when that shifted, and I don't know what happened, like, because it was out of a place of pity at first and then it was like out of a place of attraction. So I was like, when did this happen? Like, what's going on? And I even before I was injured, I'm a magnetic person, so people always stare at me regardless, and so it doesn't bother me. I don't even pay attention to it most of the time, but I was already kind of familiar with it, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
no,
for
and
sure.
I kind of live off the sense of I stare at people, that not disabled, but somebody like I'm at Disneyland or at the mall, or I'm kind of looking at them like, oh, look at the way they're dressed a little, maybe they're funky shorts, or the way they walk, or we all look at people and kind of we're curious human beings about one another, and so sometimes I'll stare at somebody and then know that people are going to stare at me. It's just, I think in a way, it's just called life. I think that we all look at each other, and I think that when you have a change, and I know that when you're not the way you used to look, standing up tall, walking around, and now you're in a chair, that you feel so conscious about it that people are looking at you, and you're really, they might be checking you out saying, whoa, cool. Or checking you out like, man, if I ever had to do that, I don't know. They're inquisitive about it. And it's just a form of life. We are inquisitive people. We stare at people that have a interesting, like if they're riding a scooter that we've never seen, we'll start staring. If we're looking at somebody driving a car that looks unique or ugly and we stare at it, and people, it just, and that's, I think when we have a change in life, we feel like we're being stared at. I know, I mean, I was never the one that say, oh my God, I'm being stared at, but it wasn't until I got my colostomy bag. And after that, I felt like, oh my gosh, might be looking at my colostomy bag. I can't even see it. And then, I was just like, and it took a couple months before I was like, nobody's looking.
Yeah.
I'm so self-conscious about it because of the new change. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that change is hard, and it is. Everybody looks at people like you look just because something's interesting, something's nice, something's different, whatever it is, So in your head, like you just like Tom said, or like Bentley said, like I'm just looking fine, like just like you just got to tell yourself like they're just looking at you because you're looking good. You're just cruising through. You just like got that swagger, and that's it.
Yeah, and I
Like,
mean, generally, it's not,
take it positively.
they're not thinking like, oh, look at this like weird person, as a disability. They're like, oh man, like look at this like impressive, like inspiring person, like out living their life, doing their thing. Like that is cool as fuck. Like that's generally the thoughts, not the negative things. Sonny put a really great comment. What up,
Yeah, I
Sonny?
was gonna. Yeah, hey Sonny.
In there about like how kids, are really great, like an interaction they had with her brother when they were younger, but like kids I think are really awesome. It really bugs me when parents like will like catch a kid like staring or something and they'll like stop doing
And
that or like
shush them.
turn or like grab them and like turn them or like cover their eyes or something. Like I've seen it all. Like I've seen kind of some like wild behavior and because they think it's such a rude thing, but it's not. Like it's such an educational thing, like especially like if they let their kids like engage and ask questions and stuff, like when they have their guard down enough and like are open and willing enough to like let the kid kind of engage without being intimidated, like that's when I feel the best and like when I feel like they're doing the parenting job right. But I I've seen it all and like my biggest like cringe that like makes me like hurt inside is like I'll be cruising and someone will like grab their kid and like pull them out of the way as if I'm gonna like aim for their child and like
I
take
I'm
them
coming
out.
for you.
And they think they're doing like a nice thing, and I mean they're just like trying to be considerate, like like give this
Yank
guy
their
some
kid.
space, but like I'm not gonna like take you guys out. Like come on, like I don't know, I
Dude,
don't
even
know.
just
I
normally
might.
people
Well,
walking on the sidewalk, sometimes like the berth people give you, like they move to like off the sidewalk or like across the street. Like you're like, yo, I don't need that much space. Like
Thanks.
we can cross each other. Like you don't need to be 10 feet away from me. Like, uh,
Yeah.
but that's just
no, I had one. So a pretty cool story. I was in Montana at a rodeo with some friends, and this kid kept staring at me, and the mom's like, "Stop, stop!" Because he kept looking behind me, kept looking at me, and he's like, finally, he goes, "Mom, I have a question." And I said,
Oh.
"Excuse me, excuse me, it's okay. You can ask this question." And he turned around and he goes, "I feel sorry for you." And the mom's like, and she's
Oh,
mortified a little. And I go, "Why do you feel sorry for me?" And he goes, "Because you probably can't do a lot." And I said, "Name one thing I can't do." And this kid sat there and thought about it. I'm like, "Oh crap." He's like, "Bet you can't skateboard." And I'm like, he did pick a good one. And I said, "Well, you know what? I had a girlfriend at the time I was with, and I said, you know what? My girlfriend can sit me down on the skateboard and push me, and I can go downhill." And he goes, "Oh yeah, cool. Well, I guess you can do anything." And turned around, never bugged, and he was like, the mom was like, "Thank you," and I'm like, and then he got up and he's like, um, they were going to go get a drink or something, and he asked his mom, "Mom, can we get him something?" And it was just like he just knew I was, one of, could do anything, and so I think it really opened his eyes that just because you're in a chair doesn't mean life is over.
Yeah, that's cool. That
huh.
probably did kind of change that kid a little bit. Like taught him something for sure. So that's cool. Good
Yeah.
story.
Huh.
All
And
right.
yes, Jeanette,
Yeah,
the
Jeanette.
queen. You are a gorgeous queen, Jeanette. You are absolutely right. Heck yeah. Um, and that's so funny, Bobby. Like I love that story. Like I love like being, able to like be a moment in that kid's life that's hopefully like a teaching moment, like maybe they do have like a perspective and an outlook, like heck, like I had like a perspective and an outlook on disabled people too, like until I had a chance to like interact with other disabled people. Like my mom, she worked with individuals with mental disabilities and physical disabilities as well, usually combination of both. And that was a unique experience too because like they are just as human as anybody else, despite their cognitive dysfunction. That has no impact on the humanity and them being human beings. And learning that at a young age is so important and so impactful, and I think is like missing for a lot of people. And it's unfortunate. But it's also why it's so important. Like as a kid who grew up in the public education system, having disabled kids in the classroom is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely important. It's essential for the kid with the disability to socialize normally, but it's also essential for the kids in the classroom to socialize normally with the person with a disability so they can start at an early age recognizing normality with, other kinds of people. Like, just that's a whole different topic though we could talk about, but it's super
No,
important.
it's definitely true. It's like, my grandson, he doesn't even think twice about anybody with a disability, no matter if they're chair
Yeah.
or not. He just doesn't even think about it. It doesn't phase him. He thinks that we can all do the same things, and he doesn't. 11 years old, man, he throws that football like, you know, I'm I can catch it with no problem. And, as I'm like sitting there trying to with my quad hands protecting my face, and like, hey, easy, but
Yep.
he doesn't let up just because I'm a quad and doesn't even think about it.
That is one, yeah, thing with kids for sure. Here, shout out in the chat, Sean Brady. He's another quad down here in San Diego, and that's who prints our hats. He does all the embroidery. So,
What up,
what up,
Shawn?
Sean? And yeah,
Uh,
dude, I do need to get a new
Oh,
hat order going actually before we go to
yeah,
Houston.
trucker.
So I'll
We
hit
need
you up.
some trucker hat.
And,
Sean, get the
and
trucker
Bobby
hat.
wants trucker hats, so I guess we're getting trucker hats too.
uh, we
But yeah,
appreciate you being a part of the Live Trail fan, man. Helping support us, trying to move that merch. What up, Maya in the building?
We
Shout out
love
from Shy
Maya.
City.
yes,
Yeah,
we do love
Maya
Maya.
and TJ are both the flipping coolest.
Yeah, that was
So
so
big
cool
shout
hanging
outs to
out
you
with them
guys.
all weekend in Chicago. It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was fun. You guys are
So let's
awesome. Live Through
let's
fam.
send it back to our guest,
Yeah,
Bentley. We're still talking about traveling now. If y'all haven't gone and checked out Bentley's Instagram, make sure to do so because she's really posts really awesome content, really like meaningful, but also like funny and cool and hilarious content. Um, but you recently posted something pretty wild. You did, and I don't even know the proper terminology when it comes to it, but you did some form of body suspension via hooks in your flesh. No, that's pretty wild. It's like a very unique experience. I've seen some like aerialists and like performers do similar things like that. But can you talk about that experience a little bit as a like paraplegic, someone with spinal cord injury? Like, how was it?
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely amazing. And ironically, the only mishap I've really like mishap I've had traveling happened on my way home from
And
this
we'll get to that
experience.
story too.
So, okay. So, I went to Oklahoma City and I participated in human body suspension. And there's many different applications as far as where you can get pierced, but you get pierced in the skin and then hang and suspend in the air. So, yeah, that's what I did.
Crazy.
yeah, dude.
Now there's some really amazing videos on Instagram, so you can like go and follow Bentley and
Yeah,
check it
you'll have
out
to go check out her
because it
Insta.
does look really amazing. What was the experience like? How high up were you? Like we
Oh
saw
my
some
gosh.
videos of you swinging.
It was incredible. So everybody's reasoning is different. Some people, it's over willpower, it's a spiritual experience, it's to get past things, healing. But other people are just super hardcore, you know. But for me, I pursued it in means to heal, and the team that I worked with, I was amazing. They're so accommodating, they're so embracive, they're so supportive. And I have really severe trust issues and intimacy issues, basically from my accident and other accumulative things in life. And I have never felt more trust and more appreciation and understanding, and the communication was flawless. It was insane. And I approached them in almost a year ago about this. I met Shawn and Frankie at my very first Carnival of Ink in Springfield, and for whatever reason, like their performance intrigued me. Like particularly, I was like, oh wow, they're really cool. And then fast forward to August, I went to the Kansas City show where they performed, and a friend of mine, Lynn, went up for her first time, and I was like, wow, I want to feel that. That looks incredible. And if you're sensitive to energies, you can feel what the person is going through emotionally. And I was just like, wow, that looks incredible. And so I approached them, and they were so embracive and just like, yeah, let's do it. Because I was like, would this even be logistically possible? Like, how would we even do this? And they're like, essentially, we'll figure it out. And I had absolutely zero plans of doing it in public, because I just wanted to do it in a private setting, and they were cool with that too. So it kind of evolved into something bigger. And fast forward to February, I reached out and I was like, I want to do this, and I want to do it at a convention. And so we set it in stone, and it was ready for like about 3.5 months in advance is whenever I started preparing for it, and I started working out and focusing on my core. And I road tripped to Oklahoma by myself, and yeah, it was incredible.
It just like goes back to what Bobby said. Like there is literally nothing you can't do, as an individual with spinal cord injury if you have your, mindset on it. You're including like, crazy wild stuff like
Suspending
human body
yourself from
suspension.
hooks.
Well, and it was like, and as everybody else knows with spinal cord injuries, the water is just so freeing. And what I was feeling when I was up there was even better than being in the water. I I didn't even know I could move as much as I was capable of when I was up in the air. And you're really high. Like you go up in the center and you start out and you're like 10 feet in the air already. And then you get hurled and swung, like if you want to do that. Most people just go up and come down, like move a little. I was like, no,
Yeah.
like I'm going ham. Like I want
No,
to
I know.
swing.
That just
Like
looks so
That's
crazy.
honestly what looked the craziest to me, because like the suspension seems like a lot of like weight and like tension, but when you're like swinging, like you got that momentum and stuff. Like, oh man, that just that looks crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Come on, Tom, you can do it. You can be on a train for 41 hours. You can do that.
let's go.
I'm just imagining like Kevin looks at my back and my body is like I'm just like freaking out. Like
That's
no.
what I
That
do
was a
for.
worry of mine. I don't know if you saw, but I tied my legs together. I had my homegirl
Yeah,
do
I
a
saw
really
that.
neat shibari knot, because I do
Yeah.
have more control on my right leg than I do my left. And I had this like irrational fear I was going to look like a dead worm on a hook. So I was like, we're not going to do that. Like, and so I had her tie my legs, and it actually worked in my favor. And I wore really heavy Timbs, so it helped with the momentum, and it was
Yeah.
perfect.
I mean, I like needles and stuff scare me. So doing any kind of significant like piercing, even for like short term like that, I don't know, it was not like a really appealing idea to me. And I'm curious, like, how much trunk did you need to use? Was it a lot of like control using like your core? Like I'd be curious, like as a quadriplegic, if that's kind of a necessity, because that's what I feel like my body would be like. I would be like a dead body, like. I'd be able to like move my arms a little bit, but like outside that, like my
Yeah,
core, my torso, my legs, they'd just be like dangling. Like I wouldn't be able
yeah,
to
man.
like even because like you could kind of like pull your legs up towards yourself and like move a little bit, but like I don't even know if I could do that. Maybe I could start off one of my legs, but no, I'm gonna leave that to you, Bentley. The human body suspension. I think it's cool as fuck. Like it's amazing. Like it's inspiring, but nah, I'm
You're like,
gonna
not for
pass
me,
on that.
thanks. Like, not
I'm
Yeah.
down to
it.
come out and watch though. We'll come out.
I will do that from like a sling, but like not with hooks in my body.
Yeah, man.
I'm a little
That is.
extreme.
No, I mean I think it's cool. Like I think it's like pretty amazing performance art. Like I've seen a lot of like human performance art pieces, involving stuff like that. And like it's very beautiful, amazing stuff. And you could it's just like what you said too. A lot of energy. Like it's like very like emotional, like meaningful experience for the artists involved and for the people watching. So no, very unique. But the reason we got talking about that earlier, but I just wanted to share it on the pod because it is very unique, and
Thank you.
we could spend a whole hour talking about that. And
That
it's very
sounds like
cool. What, Bobby?
almost like a show in itself.
Yeah,
Talking
no,
about
I mean, yeah,
like that.
yeah. Paraplegic human body suspension. We got to do
Yeah,
that
body
show.
part
Yes.
body session. Yeah, we'll have
Because
to.
I'm sure we can get a lot of guests for that. I mean, there's tons out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I know,
A
right?
long line out the door.
Well, no, I mean, just like having you on and one of the individuals involved with like the setup and maybe like the more long-term experience with it to talk about some of the nuances. Like, I
Dude,
would be
they're
really
amazing.
curious.
Like,
Yeah.
like they're friends of mine. So if that's something that y'all are interested in, I will definitely reach out,
Okay,
and
cool.
they could actually explain it better. And they're such amazing, wonderful, beautiful people, the most incredible souls. I'm so blessed to have got to have worked with them, and I was so privileged to have found them. It really was incredible. And I was already told this like before I suspended, but a friend of mine said that Shawn was like a suspension shaman. See, say that 5 times fast. So he legit is like it's so powerful, and it
I
is
didn't
your
know that about
moment.
you, Shawn. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong, Sean.
That's amazing though. And I mean, we definitely would love to talk more about it. But what was your travel experience getting home? Can you tell us a little bit about your travel nightmare, as
Yeah.
you delicately put it?
Yeah, so and it really, I was so high off of my experience. I normally would have had a complete meltdown, and like it would have been horrible if I wasn't so just elevated. So I was driving home and my vehicle broke down on the highway. Um I'm a female and by myself and paralyzed. Like
Yeah,
that scenario in itself is so scary. So
yeah.
I'm on the highway, and it turned out my motor is kaput. It's in the shop still. And
Oh
so
God.
yeah, I'm having to get like a whole new motor essentially. But I'm on the highway and I'm driving, and it just quit accelerating. And, with the hand controls, I'm like flooring it and it's not doing anything. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I see an exit coming up. Like everything was so instinctual. I was so proud of myself. Like nothing has ever happened like this before. So I like got off on the side and was like headed towards the Loves, and I was like almost there, and it just dies. And luckily I got on the shoulder and was in a safe spot, so I was like, okay, take a deep breath, like don't freak out. And I called, of course, my mom first. I'm like, oh my god, I broke down, like this has been a fear of mine, like no. And she's like, like we'll fucking figure it out. She's one of those people that's like, do what you got to do, but keep
Yeah.
me posted. And I have a friend locally that's a mechanic, and I called him and was like freaking out. And luckily, he was headed back and had a trailer and everything. He's like, I can come meet you, but it'll be a while. And I was like, okay, let me see how far I can get towed to. And I was just outside of Clinton, Oklahoma, like just east of the town. And I called, and they're like, well, we won't. And I'm headed to Texas, and they're like, well, we don't tow out of state, so we can only take you as far as Elk City, which is still about 2.5 hours from my home.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
like, okay, cool. Like, let's go to Elk City. And my friend was like, yeah, like I'll meet you there. And so I had to get towed probably about 45 minutes away. And the guy went the wrong location. The tow truck driver, who ended up being cool. He was a really old Hispanic man named Chewy. He was really dope. So, um, he came, and I had to sit there for like an hour and a half, and it was really hot, but I keep a case of water in my car to give to people that are panhandling or like on the side of the road and it's hot. Like I was like, yes, like it's coming back around full circle. Like I need the damn water this time. And so I just kind of reflected. I was like, okay, well, this is not a good situation, but I'm safe. I'm on the side of the road. The tow truck is coming. Like, this is okay. Like, I have a friend coming to save me. It's fine. Well, I had to get in the tow truck, and I've got videos of that too. So Chewy like offered to carry me, and he was a pretty feeble older man, and I was like, no, that's okay, like, this is a far distance. And so we got my chair up to the tow truck, and like I maneuvered and got up in there, and he took my wheelchair and stuck it in the back of my car that was on the trailer. And so I'm having to ride with this stranger, to Elk City. And he's like, so where do you want me to take you? And I was like, well, damn, I need somewhere with air conditioning. Drop me off at Walmart. Like,
Yeah.
and so we're rolling into Elk City, and I just like start maniacally laughing because I'm like thinking about all of the stuff that's going on and that has transpired. And he looked at me and was like, why are you laughing? And I was like, life's just funny, Chewy. Like, I'm just very blessed. I'm happy. Like, and he like looked very confused, and he was like, you are a very strange girl, but I like how you think. And I was like, yeah, I get that a lot. And so he dropped my vehicle down in the parking lot of Elk City, Oklahoma, and BFE. And I was like, all right, like I paid him, and I was like, check you later, Chewy. And I went inside, and I like rolled around and like played with toys and went and got a snack and was like talking to locals, like, and getting all kinds of wonderful backhanded compliments. I love those. And my friend ended up coming to rescue me and towed me home, and it ended up being okay. Like, that could have been a really, really terrible experience, and as terrible as it potentially could have been, it worked out really well.
Yeah. That's nice when things work out like that. But yeah, no, it's scary. It's super devastating. Me, my family, we were gifted like this trip from. It was like a timeshare in Lake Tahoe, and it was like not even that old. It was pretty new van at the time. We took our family van, and it was a cursed trip. The room was cursed. The person that gifted it to us was questionable. And on the way home, one of the pistons like exploded in the engine block of our van coming downhill, like from this mountain in Tahoe. And like we're all in the car. My dad, like, I mean, I still can like visualize this moment. Like I was listening to "Hallelujah" by Jeff Buckley, and on my iPod, and we are coming down this hill, and my dad just kind of starts to freak out because he lost like all power in the vehicle, and he was like trying to. Like gear down, like slow down, like brake and get us down. But we were coming down a hill, and my dad's amazing. Like he's the best person to have in a situation like that because like his brain just kicks into auto gear and like he just can react and navigate like in human ways. But he got us stopped safely, but we were still 100 miles away from my house and stuck on the side of the road. So we had AAA. We called AAA. All five of us climbed into this guy's tow truck, and it was 99 miles. They were only allowed to tow us 100 miles. It was 99 miles to our house. And so we had him tow the van with my chair in the van because we had to transfer me from the van on the tow bed into the tow truck. And all five of us were in there cruising. And my poor parents, my dad was just like, I remember feeling like the stress like emanating off of his body and like just like the tenseness of the situation because it's gonna be super expensive to have to fix the car and stuff too, and it was like 10 grand to replace the engine, something crazy. And it was just like a very stressful situation, and like I didn't even have my chair for a lot of the time. Like it was stuck in the van until we got back to the house. Crazy. But it's
Wow.
crazy when your car breaks down. Dealing with that. It's always so important to. I mean, thank goodness you had the water. Like that's good preparation, good karma coming back to you. But it's also like highlighting preparedness is key. Always make
Well, and
sure
I
you
don't
have
know
them.
what it is with vans. Like, and I was gonna like, I did have a semi mishap, like what could have potentially been, and it seems like vans always do that. Because that's what I had before I have the vehicle I have now, and I went. It was my first girls' road trip, like being paralyzed, and like my girls go hard. Like they had a margarita machine in the back, like.
Oh, nice.
That's what kind of trip this was. And my van malfunctioned. It had an electrical issue with the lift. And so when we were in the mountains, the van doors just open and the lift starts going down like while I'm in drive. And I had to like swerve off of the road and pull over, and the lift like tilted us like towards the river and stuff. And it just would randomly have like weird electrical malfunctions, and the windshield wiper flew off, like all of this weird
Oh
like
my
little thing.
God, yeah.
Yeah, like in a snowstorm, like it was really sketchy. But it seems like vans you gotta like be vigilant about. Like they'll
That,
throw little curveballs out of nowhere.
that's why I'm
Yeah.
like a little nervous now. I used to do road trips all the time with my van, drive it everywhere, wherever. And now that it's kind of getting up there in mileage, starting to have some issues, I'm way more hesitant, especially on my own or with
Toyota, Honda, Broad Ability, sponsor Live to Roll with a van.
yeah,
We
we're
will
trying
sell
to
a
talk.
dozen more for you, okay? But my boy Shawn needs a new whip to drive my crippled ass around in, okay? So let's go.
We are gonna have to road trip that thing to Phoenix in 2 months, so for that
Yeah.
expo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be fun.
Hey, we're gonna
Actually,
have
real
the new
quick
van
before
by
we get
then.
into this, because I always do forget, and Bobby reminded me real quick here. Let's just take a second to thank
To
our
our sponsors.
sponsors real fast. Thank you to Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a mobility specialist here in Southern California. So if you need a wheelchair, commode, any other type of adaptive device like that, give them a call. The information is in the description below. They'll hook you up. And then Urology Professionals is their sister company, and they're nationwide. So if you need catheter supplies, give them a call. They can help you switch on insurance. They're really cool, great people. They help out the community locally here. They're just good companies and good people. So thank you, and we appreciate them, because without them, there's no way we'd be able to travel to these expos either. They're our main travel fund right now.
Yes, we love our sponsors. And just to reiterate what Sean said, they don't just do a lot to support the community, they support the community in meaningful ways by hiring individuals with disabilities and, like helping out like people's lives in very meaningful ways, and also making their work real because they have actual disabled individuals working for their companies as well, and you don't find that in too many places, and it really does make a difference. So just big shout out to our sponsors. We love them.
Yeah, thank you guys. So check them out in the description below. And Maya just dropped a comment about Winnebago. Let's get a accessible RV. Yo, Winnebago.
Hey.
Dude, I
We'll take that
know.
sponsorship too. Let's go, Winnebago. Hit us
Yeah.
up. I'm so down for the Winnebago Live to Roll road trip. We'll go across the country. Just
I'm
hang out.
calling the rep after this podcast. Gosh darn it.
That sounds
Hey
awesome.
guys, I got to roll early today, but
Yeah.
Bentley, good to see you. And
Yes, much love, Bobby.
guys
Good to
take
see
care.
you. I look
Bobby,
forward to
Always.
great
chatting
to see
again.
you. You look great, man.
You guys.
Glad to
Yeah,
hear
man,
you're
I'm
still
glad you're
doing
on the
good.
mend again and getting back with us. So, yeah, good to see you, Bob. Thanks for spending
All right.
your limited
You guys
time with
take care.
us.
Not a problem.
All right, later, Bob. Damn, I already had
All
that
right.
set up.
And yeah, I mean, we're kind of approaching the end here. I don't know if anybody else in the chat had any more questions or, thing they want to ask any of us before we wrap up the show. But yeah, we were still kind of just going off the travel thing. I didn't really talk too much about the Amtrak stuff, but that's okay. I talked a lot about it last week. And there's going to be some more content. Like I've been looking at some of the video and stuff that I took along the way. So you're gonna hear more about Amtrak, and unfortunately, it's gonna be positive, and we're gonna be highlighting like an awesome trip, but it's gonna be negatively tinged in the failure of a federally subsidized, company that's supposed to be, provide meaningful travel solutions for all individuals as they advertise, but they really discriminate against disabled individuals. Which sucks. But we're going to talk about it a lot more
And I don't
and
know if
work
you
on.
did know, but Tom was he went to Chicago on the train. It was 41 hours, and then 48 coming back because of delays. So
It was 43 going out and 46 or 47 coming back. And
Damn, that's most people's work weeks. Like, that's a long
it was a
train
long
ride.
ass.
and there's
It was
no
a long
bed.
ass
Like
train ride.
The way
no
back, he
bed.
didn't even have a
On the way
chair he
back,
could
I didn't even
transfer.
have a chair. It was crazy. And I mean, that alone is dangerous. Like, it's a safety hazard. Like, an expectation of someone to stay in their wheelchair for more than a 24-hour period, like, I mean, more than an 8-hour period, like, you're risking pressure sores and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
especially like in a train, like, not normal environment. Like, what is the expectation of someone? And I don't know, like, they compare it like to coach, and like, they're sitting and just sleep in these, like, chairs as well, essentially. I mean, they are chairs, but their feet go up and they fold back, and my chair does too, but I think it's absolutely absurd. The fact that they don't have a bathroom that fits a power wheelchair, I still can't believe it. Like,
They don't.
I
I
mean,
didn't. I'm not. I don't ride trains. Like
no,
I've
no,
just been
no,
since
no,
I
no.
was
But
little. So
that was the case. Like, that was the situation. I mean, how can something like that not even
how is
have
that
basic?
legal?
How is it legal? It sounds discriminatory. It sounds like it's a breach of like ADA.
ADA
Like, honestly,
compliant does not
yeah.
mean accessible.
Yeah,
But here's the funny
that's
thing.
very true.
You get. I'm
It's
projecting
yeah.
clearly, but
No.
that makes me so mad.
No, preach, Bentley, because I'm like usually the one saying this shit. Because it's fucked up, like it really is. And the fact that I mean, I think the reason they get away with a lot of it is it's a federal agency. Not all of the trains are like this, but again, they're not held accountable to like set a meaningful standard for every train. So like I rode a shitty one. I've like done a little bit more research since I've been back, and there are more accessible trains. There are newer trains that
But they
have
all
more
should be if
spacious.
it's federal
But
funded.
they
Like
all should
It's,
be. I
yep,
mean, absolutely. How is that not the case? I mean, how can they like put hundreds, if not, I mean, at some point, thousands, tens of thousands of people traveling every month, every year, using these systems? I could not do that alone, and I would not because it'd be too dangerous. But I should be able to if it was my prerogative. And yeah, it just sucks that it's not the situation. But we're going to be talking more about it, and we're going to keep talking about it because it is wrong. It is wrong.
we
And
need
if
to
we
make sure
stop
to blow
talking
that
about it,
up and like show awareness. Like that just makes me so angry. Like I
yeah,
feel
well,
so
that's
I feel for you, man. That's so terrible, and it makes you feel like helpless, like feeling, like you're like, damn, like I'm just stuck, and then you have like
yeah.
30 more hours on the damn
that's
train.
I can't even
Ex-
Like,
imagine, bro.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Like on the way back, like there are fresh air stops, like every 6 hours. They stop for like 10 minutes at one of the stations and let people get off and like have a smoke or just get some fresh air. They wouldn't let me off at some of those stops because the train was running late. And I'm like, you're stopping for everybody else, even if it's for 5 minutes. Like, how can you not put out the ramp? And the reason they didn't want to is because it's this like funky, heavy, dangerous, ugly ass metal steel ramp that like the guy has to manhandle and do every time. And he doesn't want to do it. And it like makes me feel bad asking him to, but that should not be the situation. Like it's
Yeah,
just
that's
so
crazy.
wrong.
I,
Like it's just so
I mean, at
wrong.
this point, I'm pretty sure you could put an automated ramp into the side of
Well, I
one of the
know, like I
cars.
take
Come
a
on.
bus every day where it has this like thin little fiberglass thing that flips out in like 2 seconds. Like, how is that not like able to be added to this thing? Like, I don't get it.
Uh, yeah, man,
it's,
it's crazy.
it's
But
crazy. That's crazy.
uh,
But we're gonna be talking more about it, so I'm not gonna bore you guys anymore, or just like him and haw about it too much longer on this show because we're gonna be making more content, continue to talk about it because we're gonna talk about it until that shit's changed. To be honest, so I hope you're ready for an old tired story to get more old and tired. Because
no,
we got
yeah,
to talk about it. It's the only way, like it really is. It's a failing of public transportation here in the states. It's like the lobbying for automotive, companies and institutions to, promote vehicles rather than take taxpayer money and subsidize and change public transportation and make it meaningful. There were plans to, but it didn't happen, but it has to change. We have the resources and the means and the money to make it happen here in the States too. And it just isn't allocated correctly, but we're going to talk about it until they do. Um, but yeah, what up, Nature the Video? I think that's my pops in the chat.
oh,
Shout
is
out, Pops
that?
Conway. Yeah. Um, and
Hey,
Maya, thank you
Maya,
so
thank you so
much
much.
for
You
the
didn't have to do that, Maya,
$5.
but thank you.
Um, But so much love to my family, the Live to Roll fam, everybody in our chat. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. Bentley, you are so awesome, dude. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
some time
you.
to come and hang out with us. We can't wait to have you on the show again. And hey, yo, we're gonna
Hang
be
out.
seeing Bentley in like
Y'all
four
know we're gonna
4 weeks.
have like travel
Like,
stories to
Oh
like
yeah,
add. And I
it,
oh
already was
man,
talking
yeah.
to y'all like
that's
before the
what.
podcast, but y'all don't understand what like a little adventurer I am, and I will get us into things and into places. And like I'm telling you, like I am a force to be reckoned with. We're gonna have some stories. Like I'm looking forward to it. Y'all are
I'm so
lucky I'm not
looking forward
drinking
to.
no more. We would be wild.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
It's
Me
gonna be
too.
So
wild and a
down.
really great time.
So yeah, if
And
you
it's
guys
gonna
didn't hear at the
be
beginning, 4 weeks from now, beginning of August, we'll be at the Abilities Expo, the 5th to the 7th, and Bentley will be hanging out, Live to Roll fam all weekend. So come visit us, come chill.
and a lot of firsts for me. I first time taking a train like that. First time taking a train ever really outside like local, suburb. But it's actually gonna be my first time taking a commercial flight
Yep.
with Shawnee Boy going to Houston.
Exciting.
So it's gonna be exciting and nerve wracking. But yo, I'm starting to prepare right now. So by the time this rolls around, it should be a piece of cake. And yeah, we're gonna crash some more parties. I don't know if Bentley heard, but we crashed a party while we were in Chicago that was
I
happening
think
in
it
a
was a
hotel.
quinceanera,
It
but
was a
they
quinceanera.
were going off in
They
there.
were all,
Hey,
dude, it was banging, dude. Like they were going hard in there. Like
The
it was
families
kids,
in
so
they
there.
fun.
don't
Like,
play
No,
quinceañeras. Like
dude,
you go ham.
bro, they had this like metal, like this like
I
Spanish
don't even
metal
know what
music.
that was, but it was
It
dope.
was like
It was
wild,
like a
dude. It was
metal
so
mariachi
sick.
It
thing.
was. It
It
was so
was.
like
That's exactly what
I
it
love
was, dude.
it.
They
it
even
was
had like
legit.
some name for it. It was like some like death metal mariachi, and it was so banging, dude. It was like some of the
That's
coolest music I've
badass.
ever
Yeah, no, it was
heard.
so fun, and that was all led by Maya. So thank Maya and Ashley were like, "Yo, we are crashing this party. We're going in there and dancing." We were just like,
Hi,
all right."
Diana.
Dude, that's the best thing about being in a wheelchair. Like I'm telling you, like how many times like I've gotten into VIP or random parties and stuff like that. Like people will be like, "Oh, it's $500 a chair," and I'm like, "Well, I brought my own," and like they're either
Dude,
like
for
thinking it's
real.
hilarious and let me stay, or just walk off and I let me stay. So I'm like, I will pull that handicap card. We'll go have some fun.
All
Do
my
it.
life. Like it's just happened at Cali Vibes when we were like in Long Beach. Um, we uh went like back into the artists like section where they had all their trailers, like all the artists were chilling and stuff. No wristband, no nothing. Just rolling
Nobody
back
says
there.
anything
Owned it.
either. Like you just own it.
Nobody
Like
even questioned it, dude. I'm like, we got past like 3 layers of security. I'm like, how could nobody have stopped us? But hey, like that Crip card, that's what I call it. It has its perks. Sometimes you got to
and I'll
pull it
pull
out and
it
play
every
it. Yep.
time.
Me too. Hell yeah, dude.
No, I'm
But it's
down.
gonna be great. And
I'm
honestly,
excited. I'm really looking for it. It's my first Abilities Expo ever as
okay,
well.
Oh, it's gonna
amazing.
be
So
awesome then. Yeah, you're gonna have a good
I've
time.
been really excited to go. So I've
Yeah.
been wanting to. I swear I just like spoke it into the universe and then like you brought it up. I was like, yes, I knew this was like it's meant to be.
It's meant to be,
Awesome.
and it's like so cool. Like we just had a bunch of like Nikki and Ashley. It was their first time at the Abilities Expo in Chicago too, and I just want to shout out to the Live Troll fam, dude. Like being able to like meet all you guys online, and like now like getting the opportunities like me in person, hang out and stuff. Like I don't know, it's just honestly the freaking coolest shit in the
Cool as
world.
hell.
It's
And
heartwarming.
anybody,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it really is. Like it really is so like fulfilling. Anybody in the chat, if you're local, we're going to be reaching out to some of the fam in Tejas area. And yo, come out to Houston, come and kick it with us. Like it's gonna be a whole weekend long thing. We're just gonna be hanging out. Like I can already attest, it's a great time. If it's gonna be
And
anything like Chicago,
and if you
and
haven't
it's
been to an
gonna be
Abilities
sick.
Expo, like it is really cool. There's a lot of good stuff to see there.
Yeah,
And just the network, even like without us, there's so many people like from the community that you'll run into, meet. Like it's just cool. They're really cool events. So come on.
Olivia,
And Mason, how's it going, buddy?
miss you too. Love you. I
Olivia.
saw your post about Stranger Things, and oh my God, the feels. If you guys haven't watched Stranger Things,
I haven't seen
oh,
the newest ones yet.
go watch it.
since we,
Spoiler alert! No, just kidding.
yeah, shout out
So,
Tom.
confession, I've never seen any episodes of Stranger Things.
Oh,
That's
it's so
okay.
good.
That's okay. No shade. No shade. It's
Yeah, I
not
know.
everybody's thing, but
I
it's
get
dope.
shamed
It's
about it
dope.
constantly, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, honestly, no, Bentley, if I could be in your position, I would. Like, if I could watch it like fresh for the first time, oh my gosh. Like, especially with all the seasons out now, like heck yeah. I mean, there's still one more, but
I kind of honestly do like to wait for shows to go a little
yeah,
bit, and then
yeah.
you watch after there's been a few seasons. Because, you know, if you
So
get hooked on the first season, you got to end up waiting like a year for another one.
don't let anybody throw shade because you're in a better position to enjoy it than most. But we
I just
love
don't
it.
have time.
No,
Yeah,
it's all
yeah,
good.
for real.
Like,
Is there anywhere people can look at your art? Do you sell any of your art anywhere online?
Yeah, I
Because
have
we'd love to
my
promote it.
Instagram. I have a special Instagram for just my art, and it's
Okay,
actually on my Do You Know Bentley page. It's Road Trip
okay,
Snack with the number 5 is the S. And I'm actually gonna
I'll
make sure
add
to
it.
bring y'all both something whenever I come to Houston. I wanna like I've been plotting on some live to roll things. Like
oh my
I'm
God,
actually
dude.
working on it. So
I'm down. Hell
Say
yeah.
less. Like I'm so stoked on that. That is so sick, dude. I love like awesome art, and you are an amazing artist. So
thank
yeah,
you.
that's really
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
Th-
I just
that,
want to
th-
make sure we promote it. We're gonna make sure to put that in the
Thank
link.
you.
Check out Bentley. I did you just finish school? Are you still in the midst of it?
So I have one degree
Okay.
in horticulture science, and I graduate in May with my BA in plant and soil science with a minor in environmental.
So,
awesome.
all right, everybody. Yo, look at Bentley. Get your ass in gear. Awesome example of someone out
And
here
I will say
killing the
I was 30
game.
years old when I went back to college. So age and disability is nothing because I was a 30-year-old paralyzed woman when I returned to school. And
That's,
when I
Yeah, it's
moved out for
never.
the first time, and like I will be 35 in
yeah.
January. So amazing things transpire whenever you push forward, like little bit of a pun intended.
Hey, I like that. Nice. That was awesome.
Yeah,
And
that's really
Maya
cool.
asks, she's currently obsessed with Umbrella Academy. I have seen the new season. It was good. It did not disappoint.
I have not
I
yet, so
liked
don't
it.
spoil anything for me. I'll
No,
I
wait.
haven't
no,
seen it
no,
either.
no.
That is one I do like. So
Nice.
I'm obsessed with
CSRC,
Klaus.
what up?
Klaus is,
And Olivia said she crashed an Indian Spring Solstice at the convention center, and they just fed us. Yeah, dude, heck yeah! Like Indian people are the best people. Like especially when it comes to like celebrations and food. Yeah, no, that's really awesome.
Jeanette says thanks, Bentley. I think just for everybody
Yes,
coming off
much
Yeah.
the
love.
story.
Um, yeah, no, I'm a little hesitant. I was like so nervous. Like everyone was giving me shit when we were like going to crash the party because I was like backing out. Like, oh, like I was all trying to party the night before, and now like everyone's trying to like do this crazy thing. I'm like, I don't know. I just didn't want to be disrespectful to anybody involved at the party, and like if they did take it wrong, like, yo, who are these like random ass crips like rolling up in here like
Yeah, but the
interrupting
worst
us?
they'll do is make you leave. Like that is
No,
legit the
for
worst.
for
Like
sure, for
To
sure.
be honest,
But
they like fully, as we were rolling in,
dude, they
like they were
embraced
like,
us.
"Hey, come
Like
on in."
it
On the
was
way out, we got fist
amazing.
bumps. Like,
Yeah, no, it was really amazing. Like they were really nice.
I
But
love that.
like other cultures, like generally are so welcoming, arms open. And like we went in at a really great time. Everybody was up dancing. Everybody was up partying. So like, it's not like we were being rude, like interrupting anything. Like we just started dancing for like 5 minutes
the dance floor
and
was
dipped
popping,
out.
and we
So
just
it
rolled
was
in there and
cool.
just
Yeah,
like, "Yo."
yeah.
See, you're never interrupting a party if even if
No,
you
no.
weren't invited. Like if you roll in, like most people are super just like, "Hey, what's up? Like, who are you?" Like, you want a shot? Like people are mostly very embracive. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
I honestly think
yeah.
we could have just hung out there and like started drinking and just chilling with the
Oh
family.
hell yeah!
Like
If
they
we
totally
wanted
been
to,
like,
for
"Yo,"
sure.
but we
Dude,
didn't. We
those I
didn't.
can't get over those DJs though. I want to like find out who they were and hire them because like I want to have a party where they're spinning because like
Dude,
the music they were playing, like it
the
was
like
so
death
hype,
metal
man. Like it
mariachi
was,
is the shit. Like
yeah,
just
no,
fuck
it
with
was
that.
sick.
Like
That
that
was
shit was
sick.
awesome.
Yeah,
uh,
they're very wild.
but all right, we are getting kind of long on time. I guess we should start
Yeah,
to wrap
yeah.
up the
Let's wrap
show.
it up. Smash that like button if you haven't yet. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. In addition to subscribing, if you want to get notified of our videos, if you hit that little notification bell next to the subscribe button, it'll actually give you a notification on your phone or your computer when we go live, so you can get like a reminder if that's your thing. And yeah, we appreciate all your love and support. If you have found this useful or meaningful in any way and think anybody else might, please make sure to share it. And we also got our women's show coming up this Thursday, if I'm not
Yep,
incorrect,
should be up this Thursday.
with the amazing host Brianna. So do not miss that show. Go and check it out. It's going to be this Thursday at 3 p.m. And yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly who the guest or topic is on that yet, so I can't. No sneak peeks on that yet.
And Olivia said, Bentley, I loved your suspension video. We talked about it a
Thank
little bit
you.
earlier. I'm not sure if you came a little bit after
I
that,
think she did.
but we did talk about it a little earlier. So if you want, you can scroll back. It was right towards the end to like last half an hour, I think.
Yeah,
If you
and
want to go
that
find
was
it.
so cool. That's what we like.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Props, Bentley. That shit was wild. Like, that's crazy.
I can't wait to go again. Like, that definitely wasn't my last time.
It's
And I'm
cool.
already like thinking of other like positions and which places to pierce next. I'm like, oh, we're gonna do fun things.
Oh my
Like,
gosh! So
I
you're
can't
going to a
wait.
different place. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Well, I just know for a fact that there's some other individuals with SCI out there that saw that and are like, "Oh my God, I want to do that too."
I'm sure.
And like, it's
Well, the
gonna.
no gimmicks suspension. It's no gimmicks needed suspension team. They are inclusive entirely, and if that is something that you're interested, like reach out to them. I can provide a website for you guys. It's beautiful. I have never ever experienced the inclusivity that I did for that experience, and it was made to be my moment. And they do that individually for everyone. Like, everybody, not just able ones. It was incredible. And I mean, as far as I know, I may have been the first person that's paralyzed to do it. Like, I'm sure that there's been like private settings and things like that, but I don't know
Oh yeah.
anyone that's a wheelchair user that suspends. Like, yeah, trailblazer.
I've been in the wheelchair game for a hot minute too, like both of you guys, and I've never come across
Yeah,
anybody
I've never
with
seen it.
paraplegia, quadriplegia, like SCI, otherwise that like has
Definitely
done
never
like
with
body
footage,
suspension.
like, for sure.
But I'm sure that it's been done. But I'd be really curious to know if there's any other individuals out there who have done it, what your experience is with it. So
Well,
let us
I'm
know.
planning on actually reaching out to Guinness Book of World Records when I do it
Okay.
next time, so they can actually document it, and I can be in the
Okay.
Guinness Book if
Hell
all
yeah,
works
that's
out
super
well.
cool.
So I'm
Nice.
manifesting some stuff. I
That
want to be in the
Manifest.
Guinness Book. That'd be cool.
Heck, dude,
would be
like
pretty cool.
bucket list for me too, for sure.
That is
No
awesome.
doubt.
Actually.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's you're gonna definitely have to keep us up to date on that once if you
Oh,
start.
y'all,
getting that
like,
going.
I'll let y'all know. Like, y'all should be there. It'll be my birthday type
Oh,
thing. Like, if
Okay,
all works
yeah.
I'm
out how
down.
I
All right.
want it to. So
All right.
it'd be fun to celebrate more travel.
Forgive me if I pass out. I'm just kidding.
Tom's gonna be over there too.
You'll be fine.
I'm a man up. I'm a man up. Man up. And yo, RC, no worries for coming in late, man. Gotta work, gotta do your thing, but appreciate you joining us. And yeah, Maya said it. Dope as fuck, Bentley. Heck
Thank you,
yeah.
Boo Boo.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you being here today. And we're so looking forward to
Of
Houston.
course.
And
Me
yeah,
too.
shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, Shawn, as well, for doing all the magic behind the scenes, bro. We love you, man.
For sure. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for being here, Bentley. Thanks, Tom. Thank you guys all for watching. And yeah, we will see you guys next week, and hopefully in Houston. Live to
Let's
roll,
roll.
everybody.